Hello and welcome to Who Does Rolls. I am your host, Mike B, and this is a Mumbo Jumbo for May the 7th, maybe? Something around there. We've definitely done May the 5th, May the 4th, May the 4th, May the 5th, no, May the 4th, Star Wars thing. We've done that. Lovely. Nothing actually came out related to that, I don't think. So there was that. Anyway, yes. So how are you? All right over there in the world beyond the tube? We all right? Playing some games, stuff. Seen some of you commenting in the forums. Lovely. Nice to see you get out and about as well from here. Hello to you all. Yes. Anyway, I've distracted myself. Right. Well, stuff. I filmed this already. This is a second filming of this because the first filming I did, I have a suspicion felt a bit low energy, but I don't know, maybe it will come off better when I look at it. Maybe it felt afterwards, I thought, maybe that was a bit shit. So I'm refilming. Plus, I have a bunch of other stuff to add in to that. So I'm going to pair all together, edit it together, the wonders of modern editing techniques. It's seamless. You will not know, other than the fact that I'll probably be wearing a different shirt and my hair is different than everything else. Apart from that, you'll never be able to tell the difference. It'll be amazing. Seamless. The wonders of modern editing and stuff, yes. Anyway, the cinema magic, you know. Moving on very swiftly from that, what have I played? Well, so to cover the stuff we played, and I did cover in the last video, but I'll quickly cover it because I didn't have the box in front of me when I did it. Played Moonga Invaders, and Martin Wallace, kind of smash up if Martin Wallace did it. No, not smash up. What's the other fucking thing? King of Tokyo if Martin Wallace did it. It's up to 4 players. You all essentially have the same bunch of monsters in front of you on the board. Big plastic miniatures. It was Treefog Games. It was when he did a little bit of kickstarting. From what I remember, there was a bit of drama over this in the Kickstarter, and it wasn't great quality. The miniatures are ridiculously warped and silly. But anyway, you know what? It's not a bad game. It's if you like that monster smashing up a city type feel for it, and it's quite some good. It's Martin Wallace. I mean, he doesn't do terrible by any means, even when he's not firing on every single cylinder. And it's a lower end Wallace, if I'll be honest with you. It's all right. You pick it up cheap. I mean, I think I paid that for £5, I think, for that. And it's just a big, heavy fucking box of stuff. It's not bad. Having said all of that, well, if it's a £5, a £5 is all right, but how often are you going to play it? Okay, I'll be honest with you, and probably not. It's the first time I actually played it. Though, I know Robbie and Tony really enjoyed it, and Tony subsequently bought a copy because he can't, control himself. And Robbie the other night mentioned he enjoyed it. But so there we go. So what do I fucking know? But anyway, there Mad Scientist, Mooga Invaders. If you want that King of Tokyo vibe, but a bit more meat to it, but still some random, it's kind of that. You kind of have your own bunches of monsters you'll fight and stuff. It's quite tactical. It's stuff, things. I'm talking myself in and out of it. I don't know when I thought I was out and they pulled me back in, So anyway, Gutenberg from Portal Games. This with the Hatman seal of approval. Fucking hell. Portal Games, Gutenberg. It's not a design by Ignacio anyone. We covered this before. It's a design by these gentlemen there did it. Yes, and it's essentially, it relates to you, I covered this in the thing, is you're building a printing press. It's set in the 16th century or something, whenever that stuff happened. And you all kind of rival printing houses, and it's a Euro engine builder, and it's done in, so also action selection to a point. So at the start of the game, you have depending on where you are in the player order, so the first player has 7 cubes they can assign to actions. You spend them on about 5 actions, proportion how many of your cubes you want to spend for each. Next person along has 8, then there's 9, and then 10, I think it is. It goes around the table, and that rotates every round. As soon as the first player marker changes, the amount of cubes you've got to actually bid on your actions increases. And so, yeah, you have variety of actions. Some are orders, collecting orders, and the orders in this game 2 cards make up an order. There's letters you need to collect, and then there's buffs you can get on top of it, which are either coloured inks or maybe using certain letters or some combination of that. Or you also have these 5 skill tracks that you buff up. It also often relates to that. If you can complete the letters, you get the cash money from that. If you get the buffs from the extra bits, then you get extra points. If you complete all of it, there's an extra bonus for getting all the stuff. So the orders you can pick stuff to buff those skill bars. You can pick ink. There's cogs you can pick, which you put on a player board in front of you, which rotate during the game, and you can use the actions of them to do stuff. And then there's kind of an end of round options, which give you sort of like basic actions you can do, or get these bonus cards which are worth victory points towards the end of the game. So that's it. You have to start these prints. You can buy more print as you go through the game, more of the letters for your print house, and they go up in denomination of gold or guilders. So if you've got the 5th one, will cost you 5 guilders, the 6th 6 guilders, so on and so forth. And then what you're doing is essentially kind of like a Scrabble-ish thing. You're trying to match the letters on there and fulfill as many orders as you can. And early game it's tricky, but it gets easy as you go along. Played a couple of games of it. So with the early I taught it on the Sunday last. And me, Jamie, Tony, and Robbie played it, and it was all right. I quite enjoyed it. There is asynchronous powers that I didn't use, special powers, and then literally the other night, I had Ben, Bob, and Robbie around here. So we played it again, and I taught it pretty quick off the thing. It's actually surprised me how easy it was to teach, and it's very quick. And actually, we whizzed through it considering it was their first game. And you know, I'm enjoying what it's doing. It's one I need to play some more of, because it's good. It's not giving me that level of like, rub myself up against something sort of level of excitement, but maybe something like Tapestry does, that sort of happy glow in my brain. But I appreciate what it's doing. Its components are really nice, and it's well designed. There's some tuck boxes in the box. It all ties away nicely. It's a quite lean and good rule book. And I must say, actually, Portal Games, their rules of late have been fantastic. They had a terrible patch from Robinson Crusoe, and even to the second printing of Robinson Crusoe was still patchy. And there's been kind of sporadic moments of insanity in their manuals, but actually the most recent run of stuff has been bloody good. I will hats off to them, and that's good. So yeah, I've looked at that. I played it a couple of times. Would like and will play it some more. I don't know when it's coming out. I suspect it's with the next month or so. We'll get some more games in, and I'll hopefully get a review of it done. But at the moment, it's lighter. It's quite light. It's quite fast. Once you know what you're doing with it, it moves along fairly quickly, and I think it would play well to, not muggles, but definitely people kind of on the periphery of the hobby. It's not heavy, but there is enough meat in it later game to kind of get the cogs whirring. And it's good. I enjoyed that. I liked that a lot. That was lovely. And then we played The Thing again on the Friday last week. 5 players again. And I'm really beginning to enjoy what The Thing does. The caveat with that is the only thing I would say is it really, I think it needs more than 5 players to really shine. Because 5 players, it just feels that there's too many actions, too much stuff you're doing to kind of mitigate around the base, which means you're all kind of doing stuff, which means that for the Thing player to get in rooms with people, maybe transmit, infect, is a tricky proposition. Whereas more players would mean that it's going to happen, and it will add that nice juicy air of mystery to proceedings. I like the suspicion tracker. It works, so you can vote for people and push their suspicion up, and there's a lot more of that was going on in the play we had of it, subsequent play of it, where we kind of were seeing how all that stuff goes, the finger pointing goes, and how it kind of all comes together as a whole. I like it. I do like it. I think it's very good. I was initially kind of, as I said, I banked it because it was the license of it, and I liked the look of it. I wasn't convinced it was necessarily going to make the landing. I thought it was going to be a bit of a missed opportunity, a bit like Outpost 31, which again I thought is all right, but it's a bit broken. And I kind of felt we were going to get that. Some rules translation errors aside, and a few other things that there's some differences between the different language versions of rule books. That's an FAQ away or new rulebook away, so it's not the end of the world. Definitely have piece bits from BGG to kind of assemble that into a playable version. I like it. If you're a fan of The Thing, if you love The Thing, then it does a really good job actually of capturing that taut sort of suspicion level on there. And the only disappointment I have at the moment is it doesn't play. It needs more players to really shine. Is my feeling, and hopefully we'll get to that. Maybe I'm on about going to the expo. I think I might pack the thing. I would quite like to get an 8-player game of that happen at some point at the expo. Is my suspicion at the moment. There's something I'm tantalised by. But yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, there you go. If you're on the fence about that, I recommend. I think it's hitting retail in the next couple of weeks, maybe month, and I say take a look, young man, sir, madam, thing, the stuff, Bob, Terry, Jim, have a look, pick it up, quite nice. Should we do some news?
Here is the news.
Quick news then, so after rattling off the stuff there, Origins First Builders from Board and Dice is getting an expansion. I think it's on the shelf. I was down, you won't be able to see it, but it's on that shelf. It's one I really enjoyed. They bought that and Tabarusi, I think it was. Tabarusi I found was a really just heavy. I haven't really been able to get it back to table because I myself just found it, oh my lord, it was very heavy. But it was Origins really, what I was just saying about Gutenberg, kind of Origins really ticked all those happy joy spots in my brain. I loved what it was doing. It just really sang to me, and I kind of grokked, as it were, how it works, and I enjoyed that. I played a couple of good few games of that, and I've done very well every time I played it, and I just like the mix of mechanisms of what it's doing. So an expansion's going for that. It's modular. There's 2 being added. I think one is Wonders. So you would essentially build a wonder. It's fair enough as a point scoring thing. But the other one, it sounds a bit more interesting because it kind of gives you a strategy. It sounds like it's giving you like a route to go down, whereas the base game kind of leaves you to kind of meander your way, feel your way out, and find it. Whereas this is kind of sets you up with kind of like a bit like Prelude in Terraforming Mars. Is kind of that essential thing. So I've hopes for that because I really enjoyed Origins. I should probably review it because I've essentially reviewed it in a few videos when I discussed it, but I didn't actually do a review of it, so maybe I should. But I really enjoyed it, just for reference purposes. And then they released, this is old news now, TI4, there's a new Codex. Codex 4 came out with a new class in their race characters. That was kind of cool, and some other cards and some other bits. I like the Codex, I like the idea of what they're doing with it. Yeah, it's it's kind of like a living card game feel, but for a board game. And it's not been massively expensive to pick up and get the stuff printed. I was using Make playing cards, I think it was I used for the first 2 codexes, though there is a gent on one of the TI4 forums who's kind of gathering interest from people to see if they submit a bulk order of it, which means I don't have to do all the card layout and stuff. But yeah, I really, if you've been playing TI4 and the expansion, then there's some of the stuff they've got on these codexes are very cool. I like it. I like the idea of keeping the stuff coming to the game without massive big expansions. And then we've got obviously the TI4 Twilight Imperium Roll and White thing coming, which I still don't know. I don't know about that one. This is kind of a thing, isn't it? Caught me near naught. There was a shipping disaster thing. Everyone lost their shit earlier in the week or last week. Essentially, they released the postage and packing, the shipping rates for the Marvel Zombicide thing, and it was extortionate. Madness, I say, as he slurps his coffee. So number one, and I'll lead on to something else actually in a second. Number one, that's $1 is your friend. The $1 backing is definitely your friend, so you can just walk away when something like that happens. And number two, probably don't go near Call Mini or Night anymore, because personally for me, their business process is a bit mechanical, and they don't really give a hoot. It's very corporate. And they are a machine, they are a finely honed machine at this point in time to a certain extent of what they do. Having bought into a few of the comedy things, yes, there's a lot of value. There's less value. Number one, there is less value than you used to get. In the early days, back in the old bygone days of about 5 or so, 6 years ago, you would get real good bang for your buck. A lot of stuff in there, and you paid not far off retail prices for this much bigger box of shit. Now, downside of that is most of that extra stuff you've got, probably you never play with. It's superfluous crap on top of all the stuff. To actually get through and play all of that, you probably have to sit down and set aside 12 months to really make the best of that. So having done a few of them, I did Ankh was my last. That was it really. I think for Cool Mini I'm done. And I like Ankh, but it's got a lot of stuff. And I've not even scratched the surface of playing any of that really. And I think of Arcadia Quest I've got a shit ton of. Blood Rage actually seen a lot of love. But that's a few of them. You need to play these fuckers a lot, and I don't. And so I don't see the value anymore. And it's much more expensive than it used to be. With the welders still obviously in a shit can. So anyway, a lot of people got billed a fuckload of money to get Zombicide sent to them, and there was outcry. It was as if 1,000 voices were suddenly cried out and were suddenly crying out some more. So there you go. That's a thing. Just thinking of saying of Kickstarter. There was a recent Kickstarter which now that it's going to be pointless because I can't remember the name of the game, but they recently ran on the Game Found, and they've pulled the plug and cancelled the project. I'm going to say Euphoria, but it's not. So this is all kind of really is just the worst kind of journalistic. Do you know what? Fuck it. Just go and have a look at the internet and find out for yourself. But anyway, they pulled the company, they pulled the pledges of it, and then they folded the company, which kind of feels like a bullet dodge for a lot of people. It's a weird thing to have done. But, that's where we maybe are in the thing. So, what else is going on? Board and Dice, as we were discussing Board and Dice just this moment, they have sent me Zapotec. I don't know if that's how to pronounce it. But yeah, Zapotec. Aztecs. Lovely. Love a bit of Aztecs. I remember the old Mel Gibson movie where there was all sorts of people with headshot. It's very good, actually. I can't think of the name of it. I was going to say it's Apocrypha or something. Can't remember the name of it, but it was really well done. Anyway, that just sprung to mind because it was kind of brutal and violent and fun. It looks to be quite a lightish worker placement engineer buildery type thing. It's got some cool components in there. You build these like little temples. I was going to get a play of this done the other night, but I fucking didn't. So I've skimmed through the rules, and it looks reasonably easy to pick up. But yeah, you've got cool things like Aztec temples and some wooden bits and stuff and things. So yeah, it looks kind of cool. I've seen a little bit of buzz about it being quite interesting. That was an unexpected surprise. Popped up in the door. I've got a lot of stuff to play, and not nearly enough fucking time to do it all in. But for you people, my viewers, I will make the sacrifice and effort. So hopefully I'll get this played possibly tomorrow over the weekend. So I will feed back on that. If it's quite quick, maybe get a couple of games in. It's all right. I'm quite, Board and Dice, for a long while, for a good few years, about 4 or 5 years ago, they were churning out a lot of stuff, but a lot of it just kind of really didn't hit my sweet spot. It kind of fell a bit flat. Not much big box stuff. They were doing smaller box stuff. None of it really kind of connected. I liked the Multi-Universium. I think they did was one of the early ones. It was all right, but it didn't quite. It kind of worked and didn't work. And a few others, but of late have put out some quite solid stuff. I mean, this looks quite cool. Origins First Builders is fantastic. I really enjoyed that. Mandala Stones is a bit of a miss for me. And Zabaluski, we need to look at that some more. It's a weighty, heavy fucking game. But there's a lot of stuff they've been spanking out. So hats off to them. Well done, those chaps and chapesses. Last of the new things. So, is Gokane. So Gokane, how I come to be this. What you're looking at me now. I can feel it through the camera. There was a thread on UK Board Gaming and Chat. A gent from Canada, which I don't think his name is on. I haven't got my glasses on me. Richard was his name. Put out asking whether this design for his Gokane game or just the text was a favourable thing, and then he went in a bit more detail that it was this game based somewhat on the mechanisms of Go. Which I've played a lot of Go, but not for many years. But I did like the concept of Go. And Go is basically a two-player game where one person has white discs, the other person has black, and you kind of pop them on dots on a board. And the idea is you surround other players' discs to remove them from the game and score points. And it's kind of abstract. Well, it is abstract. It's very chess-like, but it's in fact much more kind of. There's a lot more shit going on with it. So anyway, okay, I was kind of enticed. Now, the actual theming and the idea of it, initially this was only for discussion at the time, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not sure. It's kind of, you're very niche. So I was like, and I kind of fired off a shot because he was asking for advice and stuff, and I basically said, ooh, I don't know. You know, you're kind of limiting your market. If my marketing head brain is cocaine, and especially with the powder, it kind of, it's very, very narrow market. And for my ivory tower, I agree with all my thoughts and feelings on that. So, having said all that, had a nice chat with him, and he said, I'll send you a copy. Here it is. Now, having got it, there is a weighty rulebook. There is a fucking big rulebook. Quality of all this is not the best. It's very game craftery vibes to it. This is clearly a passion project by this gentleman, by Richard. There was just... Now, the actual rules, there's 13 actual pages of rules, and they're in quite big, overwritten text. The rule book isn't the greatest. It is overwritten. It could do with a good edit, and a lot of this in there is examples more than actual the game. The game kind of rules of that. You wait for the but. Just bear with me. And then the components. You've got these are your cocaine shipments. You can essentially attach them together like Lego cubes, but they attach and then they ain't fucking coming apart again. But yeah, you can move tonnage of this. There's some paper money, good old-fashioned paper money, and essentially tiddy winks you have there. And the game board itself. Now we've invested in this far, let's go for it. There's some dice. Dice is always good. I know I'm spending time on this, but I'm just stick with me. Stay with me. And there we go. So all of this at the moment is kind of leaving you going, what the, ah! So all of that would lead me to go, Jesus wept. However, I've read a chunk of the rulebook, and I like Go. And I'll be honest with you, I think there might be a really fucking good game in here. I think it's going to take a few hours to play. It's using the Go mechanisms for you to essentially put out, from the bottom of the map is South America, and you can go up to North America. So you're using the Go mechanisms and punch your counters down to kind of build a drug network for you to get there. And you can buy product in South America cheaply, and then you can ship it across your supply lane up to North America and get it there and sell it for a fuckload of money. And the idea is essentially to get, I think it's $1 billion, I think it wins the game. Though I need to try and see if that is too high or not, I don't know. There's a bunch of simple mechanisms there. So there's the Go mechanisms there. So you can shut off people's trade routes by drug wars and stuff by essentially encircling them, and then you take out their drug route and they could potentially lose their shipments as you're doing that. You can increase your supply lines. You've got political stuff you can do, so you've got political kind of influence. You can pay money for that. You can essentially send the feds after people to take them out. It's got a bunch of sort of simplistic mechanisms, and again, it's that Go stuff in top there adds this massive layer of strategy and depth, which is going to grow as you go. Now, it is kind of wholeheartedly kind of Robbie, but Go is 2-player, and this plays up to 6, which was my kind of attraction originally, because we sometimes have some 4 or 5 or 6-player games fairly regularly, and I wondered if this might fill the gap. Initially, I was like, not on your fucking Nelly. However, having read a chunk of the rules, and I think I'm going to set up and have a little play for it, I have the feeling that this might be something fucking good here. This might be really good. And I feel if it is really good, its problem is currently how it looks. It's ugly, and it's kind of a bit naff looking, and it's not modern board game design. It's just kind of like a 1980s kind of look, feel, and rulebook. However, I like a lot of the 80s games. If this was rebranded as Narcos, which is essentially what it could be, or something similar. What's the fucking Michael Douglas, Steven Soderbergh movie? Can't think of what it. Traffic. I mean, anything like that, which is kind of more abstracted, sort of larger level of this thing. Now, I appreciate it's dealing with drugs and drug dealers and stuff. They're not nice people, pretty certain. No, I know the occasional pot dealer a bit of right. What the fuck are you going to do? I've diverted myself off to the thing. This, pretty good. I think it potentially could be actually a really fucking good game. It's got lots of that sort of tradey vibes. You can make alliances with people. You've got all that gamey shit going on the table. At the moment, whilst I would be remiss not to chuck this under a bus for what it is, and I will dig up another game I own, which is drug related. There's another story there related to that one, which really went to dark places. Same sort of box design, and maybe it's a drug dealer thing. I don't know if this guy is a cocaine dealer. Maybe he is. He can afford to print all this. Maybe I'm going to get shot or something. Yeah, I've rambled so much I've confused myself. I'm going to give it a go, and I'm enticed by it. And I think at this point, no judgment yet, mate, it could be a good game. And if it is a good game, what it really needs then is to fall under the nose of someone else and get repackaged, remarketed, redone, sorted out. And with the right marketing on that and the right stuff, it could be fucking huge. It's great, very heavy, but very cool. I like all that. I'm pleasantly surprised. So we'll have to wait and see when I get to play it. Let's do some other stuff. So other stuff. Number one, got to plug in for the Hawk the Slayer comic book, written by Garth Ennis, art by Henry Flint. Hawk the Slayer, if you're unaware, was a 1980s British-produced fantasy, sword and sorcery fantasy thing. You know, the height like Beastmaster and all that sort of stuff. Early 80s. It's essentially, it's just the cheapest, tackiest, awfulest, tackiest, just trashiest piece of fantasy movie making. It looks like it's been shot in the local forest for about 25 quid. It's got Bernard Besnell's in it, and there's a bunch of Jack Palance played the baddie, hamming it up to the extremes with a Darth Vader tin hat. It's awful, but I remember seeing it as a kid, and I remember it absolutely capturing my imagination. You've got an elf that does these kind of like, if all the crossbows and all the arrows fire like machine guns, it's just fucking nuts. But it's something about it. It has that, I don't know, it has that, this is, despite it being awful, it's wonderful. So bad it's good. It really is one of those. And it's stuck with me over the years. It's one I remember seeing on TV, and even at a younger age being aware of shit, but loving it anyway, all the more so with its stupid, cheap bargain basement special effects and nonsense. And they always threatened to do another one, and they never did. But here we go. Garth Ennis is doing the follow-up to Hawk the Slayer. It's a 5-part limited run from Rebellion Comics. I think this issue just came out in the last few weeks. There's next one a month. Yeah, it's lovely. It's Henry Flint from 2000 AD fame. It's really well. I just like his art style. It's really nice. And it's got. If you've ever seen the movie, this all makes sense to you. But yeah, Hawk the Slayer, brilliant. I'm going to read that at some point. I haven't yet, but I do love the look of that. TV show. Just quickly, I've watched Kingdom, which I'm appalled at my own self for not watching that earlier, which is I'm pretty certain it's Korean based, but it's actually set during feudal Japan. I think I'm right. The basic setup is kind of a Game of Thronesian in that you've got a power play for the throne. The king has essentially died, and they brought in one of the high physicians from the area who has zombified him, brought him back to life so that his younger wife and their family can essentially take the crown, take power of the throne from the crown prince, who should essentially get it. And there's all this kind of that going on, which is kind of cool. As you may notice, I've said the Z word, so that alone would have been an interesting story, just that power play in there. Throwing the zombies, with some zombie rules broken, and a new way of looking at stuff, in the usual way Korean cinema does, and it's astounding. There's 2 series of it, I think they're 10 parts, and there's a movie. And all of it's fantastic. There's more to come, I hope. And it's astounding. It's really astounding. I'm appalled at myself it took so long to watch it. And I zipped for it when I did do. It does all that stuff that Korean cinema does. It's got the zombie thing, which is kind of cool. But and it looks epic. It's gorgeous. Shot, well acted. It's funny and weird, and just all the stuff you love from that Korean cinema. I was very much enjoyed that immensely. And if you've not watched it, it's on Netflix. It's called Kingdom. Watch it. That's a recommendation for me. It was fucking brilliant. Of course, Better Call Saul. Saul Goodman has just aired. The first 3 are now out of the last season of that, which has just grown from strength to strength to strength. It's a prequel series to Breaking Bad. Starring Bob Odenkirk, who is genius anyway as Saul Goodman, and this charts his rise to become that character. and it's been fantastic. Very slow start. First 3 seasons, slow start, really character based. Doesn't do what you thought it was going to do, because you're all kind of expecting, hey, we're going to see this, how he comes to be this sleazy scumbag lawyer, and it's taken a very slow burn reaching that point. But the last couple of seasons have been astounding, how they're tying everything up together, this very long form story, and bringing in elements of the Breaking Bad storyline into it. And it's astounding. This new season, this last season already, the first 3 episodes I've watched, fucking brilliant. If you've never watched it, or you started watching it and tuned out because of its slow pace and what it was doing, you're missing out. I will say that. If you've watched Breaking Bad and love Breaking Bad, and you kind of once saw if this was a thing, it's brilliant. It may even, at this point in time, I feel it may surpass Breaking Bad in its brilliance and how fucking well done it is. Well worth a watch. There you go. And as I'm making you watch stuff, I'm making you watch stuff. This Riders of Justice, Mads Mikkelsen. It's a Danish movie. Came out a couple of years ago. It's essentially is a revenge thriller. Mikkelsen's wife dies in a train crash, and his daughter survives. And he's I think he's in Afghanistan as a soldier, and he comes back. It's all subtitled, Danish with subtitles. He comes back and essentially does the Liam Neeson thing, is that he's going to go and find out who this is and bring furious vengeance upon them, which is a nice setup anyway, and I love a good revenge flick. However, what this does is just does not do what you think it's going to do. He ends up hooked up with some mathematicians, one of who can chart all the different variations, almost like chaos string theory and all that sort of stuff. And it just goes to places that some very dark, some emotional, some hilarious, that you just know Hollywood never do. And it's got some rip-roaring, fantastic action up against the most deranged comedy and weirdness and wonderful and pathos and astounding. Riders of Justice. I cannot recommend it enough. It is brilliant. And if you've not seen it or not heard of it, it's not on your radar, go and fucking get it on the radar and go and watch it. Brilliant. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. Fantastic. So that's it. There's probably more stuff, but it's been a week, isn't it? I will catch up soon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. 405 subscribers, we've hit that 5. We're almost tapped out at this point. You can obviously clearly send me money if you want to at Patreon, though I need to do something with that because I hope we are. I am going to look at the post-game filming. The last game we played was Twilight Imperium, which we finished at 1 in the morning. And it was not probably a good time to be filming a post-game debrief. Gutenberg we were going to do, and then we played another game, and again we ended up at like 1 in the morning. So it's on the cards. We are going to do it. I will do it, whether it's this week or next week. I'll get it filmed, and we'll see what comes of it. Either gold or shit. Who knows? Charlie's working some stuff. His video dropped the other day of his 12 RPG things. I've got another video that works I need to do, and some other stuff I need to do, and things and stuff and nonsense. There's a lot to do, not a lot of time to do it all in. But there we go. I've been Mike B. This has been Who Does Rolls, and that's that really. Enjoy your bank holiday weekend and all that, and peace out, man. Yeah, and shit.